What needs to happen really urgently for the benefit of people with ME and people with all those different illnesses misdiagnosed as CFS is that the name CFS and the fictional disease category of CFS both need to be completely abandoned. People who have ME need to be diagnosed and treated for ME, based on research produced using study groups of people who actually have ME as well, which is not what's happening at the moment. People with fibromyalgia need to be treated and diagnosed with fibromyalgia. People with depression should be diagnosed with depression and treated for depression. People with cancer should all be diagnosed with cancer and then treated appropriately for the type of cancer they have. It just makes no sense to misdiagnose all these very different patient groups, all these very different illnesses as CFS, which is what is happening so often now. One of the most commonly used definitions of CFS, there are more than 9 different definitions, one of the most popular ones, if not the most popular one, requires only that a person be experiencing fatigue for the diagnosis to be made and for those people to be included in, research on CFS. And, the other definitions are really much the same. They're very little better. They include a few other vague symptoms that are common to a whole stack of different illnesses. None of them describe any distinct disease. But yet, the results of studies on these fatigued people are being applied to people with ME, people with Lyme disease, people with depression, people with multiple sclerosis. It is just ridiculous. No matter how long you study people with diabetes, you're never going to come up with a cure for arthritis. No matter how long you study arthritis, you're never going to come up with a cure for cancer. It's the same with, all these studies on fatigued people. You're never going to help people with ME or any of these other illnesses. You can't research one patient group and apply it to completely different patient groups. It is just so illogical. Your average 8-year-old would be able to see how little sense that makes, and yet this has been allowed to continue and has been fully sanctioned by government for the last 20 years. This whole CFS wastebasket diagnosis, it saves insurance companies millions, if not billions of dollars. People with all these different illnesses that, would have had insurance payouts have them denied because CFS is either defined as not being real or, as being psychological, and there are much smaller payouts made by insurance companies if your illness is deemed to be psychological rather than organic. But after 20 years of this CFS nonsense, and companies just saving all this money and making money off us in different ways as well, it just really is time that patient welfare, reality, science and logic, that things like that finally got a look in. These vested interest groups just can't be allowed to manipulate science to suit their own needs indefinitely. 20 years is enough.